Yo guys, I'm Nick from the Producer School and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video I'm going to be making a melodic techno track from scratch. I'm going to try to come up with a cool idea and show you guys some cool tricks that you can use in your own productions as well. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. So I'm going to start completely from scratch, which means that I didn't prepare anything. So I hope that I'm a bit inspired today and that I can come up with something cool. So the first thing that I normally do is I open up a bass, and I actually have a preference of a preset from the pack Textural, which is a melodic techno and house sample pack. And that's this bass right here. Let's turn off the delay and the reverb. Tweak it a little bit so it's a bit more filtered, so the MG Low 24 could work. Alright, that's a cool bass to start with. Let's head into the piano roll and draw a cool rhythm. Normally I like the E or some notes around it, but for this case I will just start with an E. Don't forget to put the BPM to something around 120. It could be a bit higher, it could be a bit lower. It's a bit of your own preference. The velocity of this preset is linked to the cutoff, so I can play around with that a bit as well. I think that's a great rhythm to start with. Let's add it to a mixer channel and add some basic effects on it. Normally I start with just an EQ to get rid of some frequencies that are unwanted. In this case I'm going to go for a high cut with the FabFilter Pro Q3 with a slope of like 30 dB. I want to remove those highs, but I still want to keep some of the punch, because you could choose to have a bit of a steeper slope and really make it subby like this, which leaves a lot of room for huge leads and different elements. If you want to do that, you can do it as well, but in this case I think I just go for something like this. Let's lower it down in volume a bit. Let's add a sidechain, as I'm about to add a kick underneath it. Okay, let's search for a kick in the pack. I like this one, really punchy but still short, so it leaves some room for the bass. Let's add it to a mixer channel. And now you have a really cool foundation already. It's really basic, but we can work with this. And what I like to do is just leave it there and then start adding something on top. And then you're slowly building your drop. So just a simple bass and kick can already inspire you for some more stuff to add to it. A plugin I really like to use for that is Diva. It's a really analog sounding synth, and it has a lot of cool presets that are basically in it already, so you don't really have to do that yourself. You could do it. It has a lot of cool sound design possibilities as well. I normally search for something like an ARP and then I just start tweaking it. So let's do that as well. This already sounds really good. I always try to turn off the ARP so you have a bit more control. Now you can shape it yourself. Let's try if we can do something with it. Oh, it sounds really cool on that note as well. Let me see. That gives a lot of depth to the mix, so let me try to blend it in. Of course, I want to get rid of the low end. The bass that I made previously should really function as the lowest bass with the sub response. Let's add a sidechain to this as well. I can try to add a little delay to the bass as well. For example, I can add a Fruity Delay 3 and a P controller, and then I link it to the mix level of the delay. Select internal controller, P controller, peak, and then invert it. And now you can manipulate the delay mix level so it doesn't play when the bass is playing itself. Okay, let's tweak this a little bit. You can turn it into a ping pong delay and perhaps set the time to like 3 seconds. And I always love to add a filter so the low end is removed and you just have a bit of a different sound for your delay. Alright, let's add a compressor as well. Because of those changes in the cutoff, it's good to have a little compressor to just make sure that it sounds a bit more tight. Let me see if I can do something with this preset. I can already make an automation of the cutoff, as that can work really well here. Let me see. All right. Let's search for something like a clap. This one could work. I don't want it to hit directly, but perhaps right here. Something I love to do is just add a filter to it, filter out the high end, something like this. Then put the volume back a little, because you lose some if you're like filtering all those high frequencies. This way it sounds really, really squeezy and really tight, and I love the way that that sounds. Alright, let's also search for a head. Something like this. Maybe we can make it a bit shorter. actually think that this one could use some compression as well. Alright, it sounds pretty cool already. Perhaps we have a little loop or something that I can use just to save some time. This one sounds pretty solid. Let's make sure that it's the right BPM. And let's add some sidechain to it as well. And the volume is a bit too loud. You should really hear this loop, but it should be not that prominent at the same time. So it's really about finding the right balance for it. Let's add a reverb automation. It's a really cool way to add some, just some really tiny sweeps by automating the wet level of a reverb with a lot of decay. And that will sound something like this. You can then add some variation by adding some short sweeps and you can make it higher or lower. That's totally up to you. And I also want to do that for the clap. Alright, that sounds pretty cool already. Let's separate pattern 1 so it just gets a bit more organized. And now I want to search for something like a plug that I can put on top of this. I think we can use a plug from the Astro pack. Let me see. Sounds pretty cool. This one works really well for this style, but I think I used it in some other videos as well. This one could work. Let me try something. Perhaps, let me make this one a bit longer. Let's try to add some more variation to this. I like this melody. The melodies for this style are mostly not that complicated, so it's just about getting the right feeling. Let's add a EQ and a sidechain right away. Perhaps we can filter it right here a bit more. Oh, I like that quite a lot. Let's remove the low end. Let's get rid of the reverb and the delay right here and do that by ourselves. Let's put it in a unique pattern. Perhaps we can use an echo boy for this. Oh, not Edison, but an echo boy. And something like a Valhalla vintage verb. I always turn the mix down quite a lot and the size. Could really use some more delay, so perhaps just go for a standard one on 3 seconds with a bandpass filter and ping pong to make it really wide. Perhaps just add a P controller to get a bit more control on the delay as well. I think it's not necessary, but I tend to do it a lot just to be sure. Let me see. Maybe I can make some switches in the bass line in the second part of the drop. So let me check. Let's make this one really long pattern. That just works the best. Let me see how that works in the context. Especially with this top lead. Sounds pretty dope. I think this support bass should play the same notes, so a G and a I believe. Let me check. Alright, that's a pretty solid start for the drop already. I think I did it fairly quickly, so I can spend some more time on the drop. First of all, I want to add a impact. I like to use white noise based impacts that just hit a tiny bit before the drop or on the drop. Depends a bit on the project, but I really like impacts like this. Make sure it's not that loud. Let's also automate the cutoff of this plug. I filtered it a little bit, but yeah, maybe later on in the drop we can open it up, or in the transition part right here. Okay, let's go to another pack of us, which has these cool short sweeps that work really well for these kind of transitions. So let me check. Alright, that sounds really cool. Let's go with another clap. Oh, let's go back to the Astral pack. And let's search for another clap. And I want to add delay on it and filter it to push it to the back and use it as a bit of a groove or something. Alright. Let me filter it first and add some delay. Works pretty well. Let's search for another loop or something to put behind this. This one could work. Let's add a sidechain to it. Maybe we can add another support loop for the heads. This one sounds really nice. Just make sure that you don't make it too loud, as that can cause problems. Maybe something like a down filter. Let's now search for something else that we can put on top of the second part of the drop. I think we can make something like an ARP. So let me check these presets right here. I actually want a really subtle sound. Ooh, this sounds really cool. Maybe we can let it hit on the same notes as the clap. It could work. Let's just make it a bit less loud, add some sidechain and a EQ. I like to use the radio preset just to push it back a little bit more. Yeah, I think that will work. too little volume. It's really subtle, but yeah, it sounds pretty nice to me. So let's leave it there. And now search for something like an ARP or something like a plug which can function as an ARP. I think this one. Yeah, it could work really well. Let me see how that sounds on these notes. That could work really well, and we can also use this in the buildup, I guess. So let's go for it and put it here. And let's first of all add a sidechain and a low cut, and that's basically the first thing I do on all my sounds. And after that I try to have some more unique effects to make stuff a bit more unique. Let's try a crystallizer, which is a really cool granular delay. Let's add a cut-off automation. And let's add a glue compressor. Alright, let's add some more FX to the drop, for example some ambience. This one could work if we can get it right. Let me check, make sure it's in the right BPM. We're working in an E, so 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones up, if I'm correct. Let's add a kickstart. Or maybe a growth beat could be nice. If we can kind of make a gate. Let me see. Radio. I feel like some harsh frequencies are popping out right now, so something I use for that is Soothe. You can do it manually, but I like to use this as well. and maybe some distortion. Alright, that sounds really nice. Let's now move on to the build-up. Just because I don't want to spend too much time on everything, as it's still a YouTube video and I don't want it to be like 2 hours or longer. So I have to move on and do not spend too much time on these little details, because I think the foundation of the drop is already there. Pretty happy with how quickly this all went, because yeah, I was afraid that maybe I was not that inspired before this video, but it worked out pretty well. So let's get this ARP in the build-up. I think that would work. Sounds really nice. Let's automate the sidechain, as we don't want that in the build-up. Something like this. And let's add a endless smile to it. Let's now use the bass note from the second part to create some chords in the build-up. And I'm going to use one of my favorite synths from the pack, which almost always works for this kind of build-ups. And it's Synth Empire. It sounds like this. And let's now copy this and add it to a new pattern. Then I want to delete these notes and make it longer. By hitting Ctrl L, and then you have to do that one manually. That sounds really nice. Let's add just one note on top of it, for example a G. Pitch it down, pitch it up one more octave. Let's add a cutoff automation for this as well, and slightly increase it towards the drop. Let's add it to a mixer channel. I think we can add a filter automation to get rid of the low end when we're playing towards the drop. Works really well most of the time to add a bit of contrast between the build-up and the drop. So let's see. can do that on the ARP as well. Let's lower this in volume. Maybe we can add a little vocal before the drop, and we have quite some vocals in the pack, so...
Existence. Don't.
Life. User
Time.
This one could work for this style, I guess.
Spiritual. Experience.
It's an AI kind of vocal. You heard a lot in the Tilvus tracks nowadays, that kind of robotic vocals. So it's really nice to put it in here as well. I really want to add a delay to it.
Spiritual. Experience. Spiritual. Experience. Spiritual. Experience.
Let's add a de-esser.
Spiritual. Experience.
And maybe we can add a reverb sweep to this as well.
Spiritual. Experience. Spiritual. Experience.
And maybe we can pan that automation. It's quite a lot of work for a really subtle thing, but I really like to do that.
Spiritual. Experience.
Let's add some FX to the buildup. I think a riser can be really useful. This one sounds nice.
Experience.
I think we can use it if we filter it out in the end, because the end is a bit too prominent.
Spiritual. Experience.
Alright, that sounds pretty cool. Let's add an uplifter as well. Just a white noise based uplifter is enough. Let me see how this one is really short, but we can add it, and then we can add a longer one as well.
Spiritual. Experience. Experience.
Oh, okay. 124, and then put the volume down as well.
Spiritual. Experience.
Let me see if we can use the top bass in the build-up as well. I think we need to use this one then.
Spiritual. Experience. Spiritual.
I linked the sidechain to the sidechain automation that we already had, because we want no sidechain here, as this really takes away the power of the sound when there's no kick playing. Unless you want to do it for creative purposes, it could work as well.
Spiritual. Experience.
I think I can now move on with the intro. I don't really like to have huge breaks in this style, especially not in the first part of the track, as you really want it to be danceable. So you want to have a kick playing actually quite a lot of the time, and an intro is just a really cool way to introduce the elements of your track. A cool thing that you can do is, for example, filter the kick drum and the bass at the beginning. Alright, let's copy the ambience right here and the clap automations. I didn't copy that head on purpose, but it works pretty well. Maybe we can introduce this, but then a lot more filters. For example, a radio filter. And then automate it. So we can turn it off in the drop. The transition between this intro and the build-up is pretty important, so make sure that you add some impacts and some sweeps. Those really help already. Make it unique so it's a bit less loud.
Spiritual experience.
I forgot to copy the ambience. Maybe add some delay as it really stops like really suddenly. So let's add a delay. And let's add another down filter. That sounds not that great. Just a white noise one could work. Put it down in volume, you don't want it to be that prominent.
Experience.
Alright, perhaps we can copy the vocal and pitch it down just to add a deeper voice underneath it.
Spiritual.
Let's lower the one in volume.
Spiritual experience. Spiritual experience.
Alright, I think I have a pretty solid track in under 1 hour, so I'm going to play the end result right now.
spiritual experience.
Alright, I hope you guys liked this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram for daily producer tips and tricks. If you want to check out the sounds from this video, go to the link in the description. And for now, I want to thank you guys for watching.